everyone. It's indeed a great pleasure and privilege to be here with 200 finest healthcare institutions around the world. I'm going to be speaking about Aravind Eye Care System and the journey of the last 4 decades. I'll give you a little bit of the background of blindness. It's estimated that about close to 40 million people are blind worldwide, and most of the blindness is in the developing countries. India has a higher preponderance for blindness, maybe due to multiple reasons. Maybe we are in the tropical region, malnourishment over generations have led to earlier cataracts. And remember, our life expectancy in India is only about 67. So even at that life expectancy, we are having an issue with blindness, and that's true probably for most of the developing countries. The good news about blindness is 80% of the blindness are treatable. Cataract accounts for about 50% of all blindness. That may not be true in a developed economy. If you come to Germany, if you come to countries like that, it's either glaucoma or diabetic retinopathy. The systemic diseases overtake the cataract. Cataract is kind of the easy problem in these kind of economies. And the other problem that we have is the spectacles that are needed to correct refractive errors. 15% of our blindness are due to refractive errors. It's a paradoxical situation. In India, if you kind of look at about 25% of your population needs spectacles, right? On a 1.4 billion people, you're talking about at least 500 million people, 400 million people need spectacles. But we've only reached to about 100 million. But this country has 1 billion cell phones. The mobile industry has reached the customer far better than a spectacle industry, which we are responsible as providers of care. We have not figured out the supply chain. We have not figured out the logistics to be able to penetrate to that level of depth. So the cost of cataract surgery at Aravind is about close to $90. Why is it $90? Is it a magic number? Remember, our economy, our per capita income in India is only $2,000. We were founded in the year 1976 when the Indian per capita income was $150. So what else one can do? 80% of the population couldn't pay for its care. The only way one could set up these practices by developing a cross-subsidizing model. A portion of your population pays for healthcare. A large portion of your population did not have money, did not have anything. There was no insurance, there was no someone else to pay for them. So the only way you could take care of them is not to keep them blind, is to give it free. And in fact, you spent money to bring them to your hospital. You transported them, ensured them, you fed them, but you're able to provide them a better care. And as I said, 47% of care today is given free, but when we started, it was close to about 80% of the care that was given free. The next question that comes to all of us is, if it is that low a cost, what happens to the quality? Are you compromising? Something has to be compromised to be able to give it at that cost. And what we have realized over the decades is that is not true. If you really figured out how to do this well, if you figured out the process, if you have the soul of the organization in the right direction, then you figure out the best way to give the care. And in our own, these are all published data that we have compared to UK, compared to the European Union. Our outcomes are better, complication rates are lower, and also the infection rates are far lower. How is it possible is the next question that comes to all our minds. And for us, these are the 5 distinct pillars that make this possible. The most important pillar, I'll go through each one in depth. The most important pillar for us is the purpose. I think a lot of times we are all in healthcare, we talk a lot about economics of healthcare, but we seldom talk about the purpose of healthcare. What is the moral obligation of healthcare? Why are we all providing healthcare? Is it for the bottom line of earning some money or resources, or saving some money, or is it saving life and giving a better life? So I think that's the direction that this organization took, thanks to our founder. He founded this at the age of 58. So in a way, he founded it as a coach, not as a player. That to us seems to be a very significant element of why this healthcare organization was built the way it was built and the DNA it has today. Because here was a man who said, my fellow countrymen should not be blind. Doesn't matter whether they have money, doesn't matter whether they have the resources, or I'm going to provide them care. I'm going to figure out a model to be able to do this well. So to him, that was the foundation of the energy and the principle on which he built this organization. And looking back at this organization after 4 decades, we realized that single thought, that purpose, that if somebody is blind in the community, it is the responsibility of this organization and the people who work in this organization, its leadership position, gives you a very different energy than if you start talking about dollars and euros and pounds. So that's what has driven this organization so far. So purpose, a very integral element of what is the core of this organization. The second element is volume. Where does volume come from? In a country with 1.4 billion people, if you don't want to see anybody blind. What do? You do more of what you are good at. That's the only thing you can do. Volume was not built strategically to leverage scale, strategically to have a better negotiating power. Volume was built because that was the need of the hour. People were blind. You have figured out a way to do it at a much more affordable cost than others. So why don't you do more of it? And you also, as an organization, all of us realize we are all part of large organizations. When you keep doing more, you get more deeper insights that come from that. Your wisdom as an organization grows as you go deeper and deeper. And that's what Arvind does. Arvind last year provided about 500,000 surgeries. I'll give you an example. UK does about 650,000 surgeries. Germany does pretty much about 650,000 surgeries. So Arvind as a single organization does about 500,000 surgeries a year. We work on a hub and spoke model. The tertiary centers are the large centers. Maybe that's how all of healthcare is structured. A large hub and a feeding center and a primary care center manned by different levels of trained people. And in the high volume, we have also realized it is not about people walking into your facility. Accessibility is not you opening a hospital and leaving it free. I'll give you an example. We do outreach programs. We go into the community and screen for eye problems, and we give them a solution. The solution is either cataract surgery, we bus them to the hospital, do the surgery, or we give them a pair of spectacles. Right? So about 20 years ago, what we did, when we gave the pair of spectacles, we said, we will give a piece of paper which says, this is your refractive error, go get your glasses. Right? The glasses, say, costed about 10 euros for them. But in a small village, there was no optical outlet, optical shop. So this person, an older person, had to travel to the next village. They couldn't travel alone. Someone else had to accompany. The cost of the spectacle was 10 euro. But to get to the spectacle and get back and go back again and collect the spectacle was 25 euro. So I think that's what the mobile phone companies have figured out. They have figured out that the cost, they are willing to pay for the mobile phone, but I have to give it to them at an accessible point, both at price and also from a location standpoint. So that's what Arvind figured. So when we started making glasses and giving it in the campsite, 95% people bought the spectacles. They didn't have any hesitation to spend the money because they knew they wanted a good eyesight. But the challenge was, I can't afford to go back and forth to get it. Apart from this, Arvind also works with about 350 hospitals in the developing countries. Please remember, our founder did not have a vision and mission for Arvind Eye Hospital, for our organization. That would be a very myopic way of looking at the world, according to him. He said, this is world's problem. This is a global problem. People should not be blind. So whatever we have done, we have not invented a new technology, new technique, but what we have done is, we have taken what is available and democratized so that more people will benefit with this technology that is available in the market. So that's what Arvind has done over the years, work with about 29 countries, developing countries mostly, and also try to share whatever we have learned. And the other important thing you would have seen from the video as well, small innovations. Like instead of having one surgical table in an operating room, if you have 2 surgical tables, imagine a country with 1.4 billion people. We are about 18,000 ophthalmologists. Give you a comparison. US with about 300 million people has about 45,000 ophthalmologists. So we have a deep issue of unavailability of manpower. So how do we leverage the strengths that we have? Should we follow the Western model? Should we follow what works in US? Or should we think innovatively and try to do things which can definitely leverage our own innovations and our own strengths? So a simple thing like 2 tables kind of lifts our productivity by 5 to 6 times. So you're 500, 600% more efficient than in a developed economy. And we don't have a choice. We are less number of people. We have a bigger problem. We need to figure out a way to do it. The other important aspect is also the number of surgeries. So our benchmark is an average surgeon should do about 1,500 surgeries a year. And that's the volume that helps us to be productive and keep the organization sustainable in the longer run. The next element is the consumables that come. In the early 90s, we had a problem. We were putting intraocular lens. I'm sure many of you would be aware. Before intraocular lens, it was a conventional cataract surgery where you removed the lens and gave a very thick glass. So the conventional lens surgery, that conventional surgery was over. The paying patients were getting intraocular lens, but the poor patients were getting the conventional surgery. So imagine 25 years ago, a bunch of 5 ophthalmologists sitting around a room and saying, let's now get into manufacturing. So that's how Aurolab was born, which is the manufacturing arm of Aravind Eye Care System. Today, Aurolab manufactures several products, pharmaceutical products, lenses, sutures, blades. About 160 countries use Aurolab's product. It has 10% of the global market share for intraocular lens. So it's a felt need. This need is significantly present. Aravind is in a country like India. If you look at the Indian ecosystem, that is about, this ecosystem similar to Indian ecosystem is 6 billion people. Forget the top 1 billion people. Europe, Japan, America, Australia, all those developed economies are a billion. They work on a very different rules because they have a per capita income of 50,000 euros, and you're talking about a sub $2,000 per capita income. So you need to change the rules of the game if you're able to do it well and take this to a large number of people. Again, as mentioned, today it's over 160 countries and has a significant presence. In fact, if you go to many other countries, people would not know about Aravind, but they would know about the manufacturing because they've used the products about an Aravind. The other element, this journey of digitization started about 20 years ago. It started in a very small way. I'm sure that's true for all of us. It started with the hospital information system. From an administrative standpoint, it became easier. You were able to monitor your cash collection, your revenue streams, your number of patients, what you have done. But today, it has gone another level. Because of electronic medical records, you know what kind of pattern of diseases happen, how you are able to understand it, diagnose it, and you're able to deliver care in a much more organized way. So we think the next 10 years for us is going to be a tremendous journey on leveraging this new technology that is available, all this data that is available. And we see about 4.5 million patients annually, and that's a large number that is available. And we are able to leverage it and be able to deliver better care for our people and also for people who are very similar to our per capita. Finally, I would like to end with this slide. Our founder's favorite quote. He said, intelligence and capabilities are not enough. There must be a joy of doing something beautiful. Most of us have come to medicine. All the journey that we have taken to become doctors or part of this medical fraternity is through our intelligence and capabilities, but significantly because we wanted to do something beautiful. The bottom line was not dollars or euros. The bottom line was put a smile on someone's face. Thank you.
Thank you.